Hi everyone, I am Matt Kirby, the Queensland XR Festival Director. With me today is a bunch of talented AI artists, including Jon Porter. Jon Porter is going to lead this roundtable. Over to you, Jon.
Hey, thank you, Matt. We appreciate the invitation. It's really exciting. We've got folks from around the world on our call. I am in St. Louis, Missouri in the United States. My partner and wife of 1 month, Kristen, is also on the call, but she had to hop in to help our 2.5-year-old who is just got diagnosed with the flu today and just woke up. So she should be back on soon, and I'll introduce her. We're going to be talking about women's perspective on AI art. As we were just talking about ahead of the call, there are a lot of questions out there. There are a lot of concerns. There's a lot of excitement, kind of all over the place. And when Matt invited me to join, super appreciative. Wasn't quite sure which direction to go in, but something that had been on my mind for a while was the proliferation of images of women in AI art, mostly being made by men. And it wasn't necessarily disrespectful or, porn or anything, but there was a lot of it. And I spent most of my time on LinkedIn, but also Facebook and Instagram. And even on LinkedIn, there was a lot of it. And maybe 1 out of 20 or 30 posts were by women. And I was like, is this going to be just like every other industry where men's voices kind of drown out the women's perspective? So I didn't know what to do with that. I put out some feelers about having a conversation, and knowing it's very complex and not being sure that I was the right person for it. I was like, well, here's an opportunity where I don't have to be the voice. I don't have to be in charge. We can have a roundtable discussion and get different perspectives. And this is global. So what people think might be a surprise, I don't know, but I'm excited to hear it. So thank you everyone for joining. We had a couple of people that couldn't make it, and then several invites that couldn't do it because of the US holiday. So I'm gonna go in order. We have a little list. And we can start with, let's see, Reem, would you like to introduce yourself, tell us where you're from, what you do, and how you got into AI art?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Reem. I'm from Jordan. I'm an architect, and I'm also doing other artistic stuff beside of architecture, interior design, and some art installation. I was working in the Middle East for the last 12 years. Then I moved to China, where I spent 3 years. And then I moved to Sydney, Australia, where I worked for 6 months. And currently now I'm back to Jordan for some time. So hopefully we'll do more AI work related in that area, hopefully. And
Cool.
I got it about the AI. Honestly, it was just by coincidence. I was very curious about the graphics that it produced. And I think the AI, once you start with it, you got hooked. And I got hooked with it. And I couldn't stop myself. So here I am.
Well, yeah, thank you, Reem. I was really excited to get some Australian representation. I have been to Brisbane probably just for a few hours. It's on a layover from St. Louis to Los Angeles to, I think, Brisbane, then Darwin, then Alice Springs. So it was a long day.
That is a long day. It's a very, very long day. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's a huge flight. Wow.
Yeah, so I was in Australia in the Northern Territory for 3 months, volunteering on a endangered lizard project about 10 years ago. So it was an incredible experience. I'd love to be back in Australia, and excited to have a little representation there.
Were you able to save the endangered lizard, or?
Yeah, so it was
Fabulous.
and it was, well, I mean, we didn't save it, ourselves, but it's part of the research to help save it. It was losing land to both predatory animals and to construction.
Mhm.
So I believe they're doing better, but they're pretty amazing, very smart animals, and we could have a whole show about them. If there's an animal out there that represents AI thinking, I mean, maybe it's them. They're pretty brilliant. So,
Nice.
okay, so Alexandra B. Let's see. should we do Alexander GB, or how do you want to do that? Oh, yep. Are you on mute still? Oh, Alexandra Streckova, do you want to go since you're unmuted?
Yes, okay.
Okay.
I can do that.
Okay,
So
cool.
hi, everybody. My name is Alexandra Streckova. I am born in Slovakia and live already for years in Austria, in the heart of Europe. I have two careers, in fact. My first career is in the finance. I worked as controller and financial manager for big corporations, international, more than 15 years. And now I'm managing finance and IT at own family company that I started together with my partner. And this job is giving me the right base to start my second career. I am now in the third year of the building of my second career in technology sector. And after design thinking, project management, and leadership specializations, I'm choosing now the path of independent AI artist, focusing on indie and underground AI art. I do AI visuals, AI music, AI animation, and have several own projects. I'm now in a very strong productive phase with steadily output. I work a lot with Mid Journey, Stable Diffusion, also the forum with Mubert and other AI tools. And regarding AI art, that happened to me quite randomly, I could tell, this summer, as I saw the very beautiful visuals, and I got on one of the very first AI art trends, so as anybody else, most of us. And AI art is something completely new that arose just this year for the most of us. It does in fact not matter how long or what was your path, if you are a long-term designer or professional or a completely newbie. Because what counts are the artistic and technological abilities, and that's why I love AI art. Because we all stand at the same point in history, in fact, at the ground zero, and where we go and how it will develop, it's still open for many of us. And yes, I have quite high expectations on myself. The best thing for me is to compete always with myself. And for me are independence and freedom the most important topics also in AI art. And that's the way of a productive artist. And as I am a manifestor, it's the best way for me.
Hey, thank you. You're putting out some pretty intense videos. They're amazing. So it's a pleasure to have you too.
Thank you very much.
Garcia, you're unmuted.
Yes.
Ready to go?
Yeah, I am. Sorry about that. I didn't notice before. Okay, my name is Alexandra. I'm from Venezuela. I've been living in Canada for the last 11 years. I'm a motion designer and art director. My first interest in AI was when I was working on a documentary film as an art director about AI. Artificial Immortality is the name of the documentary. And this experience gave me a different perspective on how AI will be part of our lives in every aspect of our day-to-day life. So once I experienced that and worked on that and went there like very deep into interviews and everything with the director, I learned how AI can be part of our day-to-day life and be something that you can use as a tool and be, you know, something very helpful and not as an enemy, like I thought before I was working on that documentary. So 2 years later, Mid Journey show up, and now we are talking about my experience. And yes, I love it. Like there are many opportunities and options and ways you can use AI as an art director.
Hey, thank you. So we are short a couple people. I think I mentioned it's all a blur already, but I'll introduce how I got into it because I skipped over that part. But so back in July, I checked out DALL-E Mini, which is unrelated to DALL-E 2, just has the same name, and used it on a little project for fun and kind of got burnt out on it. About a month later in August, I discovered Midjourney. I believe I started seeing posts pop up about it, probably on Facebook, and just kind of started exploring that. Within a few days, I was hooked and knew about 2 or 3 other people who were posting images periodically from Midjourney on their posts. They were not artists or creators. They were just using them for fun. And we started kind of mentioning each other, and we'd come across other people and just kind of created this list that turned into about a dozen names. And there are a few lists floating around. My biggest innovation was alphabetizing the list. And then one day I shared this alphabetized list of like 20 people or something. And it was like I'd made some great, like, innovation or something. There's a lot of excitement around it. And, it just gave me this idea. I didn't know what to do with it. I tried to open up a spreadsheet to get more people in, but instead I just kind of started collecting names and sharing them so we could grow our community. And one day I put that into an article on LinkedIn and shared that, and that kind of blew up. Just a lot of appreciation for being included on a list, but also it was kind of like an invitation to join us. So it wasn't meant to be exclusive. And through that, I've just met, hundreds of people. I've probably made, 2,000 connections in the last few months on LinkedIn. I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram or Facebook. They're just kind of different places. And I didn't spend a lot of time on LinkedIn until I found AI art in this community that's extremely supportive and a lot of fun. So that's how I got into it. And it's been a blast. I work with Kristen. We have a branding business. We support people and businesses with their branding, with growing their impact, especially on LinkedIn. And now we're mixing in AI art in a number of directions. We do workshops and one-on-one and group workshops to help people get in or to improve their skills. So just mixing it up and having a lot of fun. And so let's see. I think Kristen will be on shortly, but we can go ahead and start. Reem, were you able to see that list where we're talking about like different topics to cover? Because if not, you don't have to go first, to be fair.
Well, I'm open to any of the topics. I think all of them sounds very interesting. So we could start with maybe you want to talk about the struggles that we've been facing with AI, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think that would be great. If you'd like to start speaking on struggles with AI, and feel free to think about it in a bigger context with the state of the world, or just focus in on what you see in AI art. Yeah, thanks for leading us off.
Well, I think to be honest, I think I've raised some of these concerns in even Midjourney office hours a few weeks ago. I think the quality of the generated art by the AI is so fast, and the quality is so high that is actually a risk and jeopardizing too many good artists around, that they are very skillful and they are very talented. But unfortunately, I think the biggest struggle right now is that whoever is not gonna ride the waves of the AI is going to be replaced by the AI later on. So I think that's the biggest struggle that the AI is facing all the artists and all the creative industry. And I think the more you are resistant to acknowledge the AI and its presence and all the potential, the more you are at risk of being replaced by it. So I think that's one of the biggest struggles that I think that the AI is facing our industry. Beside of that, I think also some of the struggles is the ownership of the work. A lot of people, like even myself, I got lots of great feedback, lots of likes and admiration and share and all of that good feedback and highlighting the beauty of the work, etc. But at the same time, I was attacked that this is not a creative work and this is a lazy job. And I actually, it felt more like bullying in a way. So I think this is one of the way where we have to take a stand that it's a new tool. It's just a tool. It's a new tool. It's how you use it. It does not define you as an artist or a person. But at the same time, I think people who are not very aware of it too much might attack other people who use it, especially if they feel by it. So I think this is also one of the struggles right now in the AI world, that not too many people understand it. They just think that the AI generate these images out of nowhere, or that you are not creating the prompt, or you are not generating hours and doing many variations and upscales. So that's, I think, one of the struggles, that people underestimate what you are doing because they're not aware of it, or maybe because they're afraid to know what about it. So I think this is also some of the struggles. But also I would like to add is the speed of the work. Like I think for us to generate, like be an architect myself, I know that generating a design would take us few weeks to do something that we're happy to show to the client. But right now, I think you could do it within a few days to show something that really outstanding and present it to the client. So this speed of work is actually a little bit concerning, because not too many people can cope with it. So that's where I think it's not going to be a balanced game, let's say, or a balanced a profession in a way. It's similar, like, if you want to compare it, how people used to draw drawings, architectural drawings by hand, and then using AutoCAD and 3D Max and Rhino and doing all of these using all these generative tools to do all these drawings. It's not a fair game, let's say. So that's where I feel that these are the struggles that people are facing and will be facing more and more if they're not aware of it. What do you guys?
I think this opinion is very good. When I can say something to that, I see also these struggles or these topics and this blaming, and many people that have absolutely no idea like to blame the AI bots, and are telling also that AI bots are doing the art, and do not see that without an input there is no output, and that many hours of work are very often behind it, as you told it. So yes, I have the same viewpoint at this.
Yeah, you actually just remind me. I remember like a few weeks ago, like a person, she would tell me, I don't consider this as an art. This is easily generated by a bot. So she's an illustrator, and she does like really basic, like I wouldn't consider even her work creative by itself. So for her to say something like that, I was like, your work is not even creative and you're using InDesign. How could you say such thing? But I think this is, you have to choose your battles, and just let the future worry about itself and define itself. But I think that's where such events like where we are right now, to bring knowledge to people and share information, it helps people to become more aware of it, and also protect other artists from being bullied. I think that's very important. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I see very often is that there are always some people who maybe don't like your work, but instead of set no like and scroll over, they do some bad critics and so on. And this is, I think, in this phase when we all are starting and trying to do our best and create ideas, because first you need the idea, then you start working with the board, then you start to searching for different styles and how you show your work, different maybe camera positions, and so on and so on. So this can turn in a really quite a big project if you want to show something as you like it, to put it out from the inside to the outside. So we need to learn also to protect ourselves in this very early phase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alexandra,
Yeah, it's like
Garcia.
everything. Yeah, it's like everything, right? We're just at the beginning of the process. So
Yeah.
it's gonna take many peoples and many fields and many ways, right? So it's shaking right now for many people. So I think in the long run, people will start to know a little bit more, and people will start to learn a little bit more about it and how you build, and they will also test it themselves, right? And they will realize, okay, this is not as easy as I thought, that just typing a few words and that's it. But it's like refreshing, I think, refreshing for the creative industry. It's something that it's gonna give us a different turn, but I think in a positive way. And we're here just starting and learning this new process. And I think we're getting that wave in the precise moment. And maybe it'll be out of balance, but it's like that every time a change comes, right? When it goes to analogic, to technology, or like it's always like that. And yeah, it's shaking, but it's fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. I think it's a lot of fear also behind it, that people fear it really on some point, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's a lot of fear that comes into most things, most change. And I know fear can be real trauma to some people. Kristen and I have talked about that before, and yeah, it's tough. Kristen, I'd like you to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then if you are next for the topic. So let us know who you are, where you're from, what you do, how you got into AI art, and then you can jump into your topic.
I'm Kristen Tippit. I'm in St. Louis with Jon and married to him. And I am a creative person, but I am new to creating visual art. I've been a writer. I've done a number of different creative things, but I'm coming at this from a really different perspective than all of you who have been in the sort of creative world of artistry and visuals for a long time. And what AI art has done for me, I just want to briefly say that, is that it's given me an avenue to express some of my creativity in a way that I never could before, because number one, I didn't know I had it in me. And number two, I don't have the physical ability to draw something like I can visualize it in my mind. And this, these tools give me the ability to create things that I think of, or, especially with the text prompts, because I am a writer. And so I use a lot of words to describe things and talk about things. So I'm able to turn that into a visual and then use that in my other work that I do. And so for me, it's become this extremely accessible tool to help me build on my creativity and really up level in a lot of ways, using it alongside my writing or as prompts for my writing, giving me an avenue to just even emote, when I'm struggling with something, and I can create images that give life to those emotions. And so it's been actually pretty life-changing for me. And also it has enhanced my ability to do other creative use other creative tools as well, because I had been really shy about using even Canva or Fazart or some of these other tools where you can create really great, you know, carousels and presentations and banners and all kinds of things. And I hadn't ever wanted to go there because I didn't really know how to use it. But after kind of starting down this path and seeing what I was capable of doing, I became really invested, and then I wanted to learn more, and then I tried harder, and I got better at those tools as well. And so I feel like it's just enhanced everything that I've been able to do, which is amazing. And I think that's why I'm so drawn to it, is because I see its potential for so many people and use cases, and just it's amazing. So my topic, I think, is struggles, right, Jon?
You can take your pick, but yeah, do you want to mention Charlotte and what she's been doing?
Yeah, so we have a 10-year-old, and she on her own has been, she found one called, oh, what was it called? There was a tool, and it's a image and text prompt. So you can actually sketch an image and give a text prompt and decide on a style, and they have preloaded prompts to create that style. And so she just did that on her own, and she's been able to create like some amazing anime art. She's really into anime, and which was harder for us to do when Midjourney was first in its first version. It wasn't doing anime super well, and she kept trying to have me do stuff, and it wasn't really working well. But you know, it's given life to a lot of her ideas and dreams as well already at 10 years old. And you know, the fact that she could just download the app on her phone and start working on it was just incredible. And yeah, so it's been something that's been great for her as well, and will continue, I'm sure, to just evolve and have her really blossom her creativity and her trust in herself that she can create beautiful things and amazing things. So I guess when I was thinking about like struggles or challenges that I'm noticing, especially in the context of being a woman in the space of all of the creators of AI art right now, is that I started like pretty quickly, as people started really putting their stuff out, you know, online, especially LinkedIn, that's the space that we kind of live in. There, you know, a lot of the images were of just beautiful women, you know, robust and just kind of half naked. And, you know, and there was just like image after image after image of this. And I love beautiful women, but it's just kind of like, can we create something other than that, please? And also like, you know, it was pretty much all men creating those images just over and over and over again. And I felt a little like, just like, I want to help build this community up, and I don't want to tear it down at all. Like, I don't want to say like, well, you shouldn't, you know, don't do those images, I don't like those. So for me, it was, okay, how can I sort of disrupt that narrative with some other type of images? So then I started creating, you know, fiercer looking women, monster women, you know, just kind of these other images that were like not so perfect, you know, or like overly exaggerative in all the ways. And so that was fun for me, because I feel like that's a good way to kind of plug in, you know, in that challenge that I've noticed, and provide something else, and provide something that feels, you know, like a little disruptive to me, but also not like I'm not telling anyone they can't do the art that they want to do. So that is something that I've seen, and I've loved all of the women on this calls, all of their art, and just, you know, people are creating amazing things. And I have seen a bit of a turn now, which I'm really happy about. There's less of the nakedness and whatever, like I don't even care about that, but just like less of that, you know, kind of thing, and more, there's a lot of people making art. And that Margarita was going to be on this call, but she wasn't, but a lot of people making art to tell a story about an issue going on in the world. Like they're making art for like charities and nonprofits who are trying to, you know, say something about the state of things. And so there may be like plastic in the ocean, or, you know, these different things that are going on, and they're creating these really stunning and compelling images to tell that story. And that's some of my favorite art, is really seeing how you can use that to, you know, make a difference or tell a story or educate people on an issue that's going on. So I think that's also a really great space. I'm gonna stop talking now, so anybody else can chime in.
Yeah, while y'all chat, I'm gonna try and share my screen for a few of your images, Kristen. And well, let's just see if I can do it really quick without like sharing everything on Earth. Let's see. So can you all see like the 3 faces on there?
Well,
Okay,
yes.
yeah. Kristen, you
Yeah,
want
we
to
can.
share what that is? And I'm gonna jump back out of sharing the screen, I think.
Yeah, so this was the sort of women monsters that I was talking about. So, you know, we have a book that a lot of people here in the US read. I don't know how popular it is elsewhere, but called Where the Wild Things Are. And the narrative is about a little boy, and he gets in trouble because he's being wild, and he gets sent to his room without supper. And then he imagines this scenario in which he goes off to this land and he's like in charge of these monsters and he takes control. It's basically him trying to kind of take control of a situation in which he's not in control. But the reason that I made those is because just in books in general, especially as I was growing up, there weren't a lot of female characters, and it was harder to identify with some of the characters being a girl, a little girl. And so I decided I was going to try to create those monsters as women. And so I used the prompt of having like Where the Wild Things Are style, and then a bunch of other things, but to kind of get this, and they do look like they have some of the same horns and things as the monsters in the story. So that was kind of that was the story that I was telling when I made that, was talking about like representation in literature of different, you know, different groups of people that were maybe marginalized or just not represented, especially, you know, when I was a kid back in the 80s and early 90s. So.
All right, thank you. I was trying to organize Alexandra Streckova's pictures too for when she goes. So sorry, I feel like I'm interrupting. Would anybody like to respond or say anything?
Yes, I would like to say something regarding this female motif that we so very often see created by the AI artists. It is an issue. Female are very often shown, as we can see, and meanwhile the AI bots, especially Midjourney, is well trained at these portraits, and they get really amazing and very nice and so on. But as Kirsten said, for me, a little bit of problem is with wide shots, with the bigger scenes and so on, because these scenes have still not so huge quality as these portraits and all this really well-trained, beautiful stuff. So I'm waiting maybe for later versions where also the bigger scenes will get a higher quality and much more artistic expression.
Yeah, that's true. I think everyone's takes advantage of what works well. And when you come across something like a close-up portrait or folks looking beautiful up close, you know, all of a sudden you get a ton of it. And I think, yeah, with the new version, it got even better. But I think with the version 4 release, it just happened like a week or two ago, people had been in it longer and maybe had started exploring more. And there's just a lot more variety. There's an emphasis on diversity, which wasn't as prevalent early on. So it feels like things are going the right way. I do hope that people didn't like opt out because they had a bad experience or, you know, just felt like they didn't belong, because, you know, that seems pretty common in these spaces, just feeling like it's not for you. And then you just don't, you know, maybe you get bullied and you don't stick around to see what happens. Let's see. Alexandra Garcia, did you want to add anything?
Well, on my topic or where you were talking about?
Yeah, I just didn't want to skip you or anything if you had anything to say. And also it is your turn. So if you'd like to take over. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so my topic was opportunities. And I think opportunities, like I said at the beginning, are endless, especially as a woman and creative director. As a woman and as a mother, I think we have a unique opportunity to work everywhere. I can work everywhere without losing connection with my family. And I think that's a big for me. I can generate ideas without even sitting down at my computer for hours while I'm cooking at the park with my daughter, almost everywhere. And she won't notice because it's just a brief, like, okay, I just need to change this prompt or whatever. Of course, I always say, like, you have to do I usually takes a lot of time in my process with my prompts and typography, which is my focus right now. I do a lot of research before, but in between, I can do all my shorts and my stuff, and and I love that I think that's the part that hooked me at the beginning. Also, I have experience as an art director that I can fast forward concepts with clients and at the same time generate new ideas and test those ideas and prove if they really work or not. I can even create my own library, like I'm creating right now as a reference, like my own library for typography, for textures, for patterns. Like imagination right now is the limit. So I don't depend on stock image visual reference anymore. I just create my own, and I think that's a huge change for me. I don't spend that much time looking for the right reference to do a style frame for a client. Honestly, and I think that's a huge opportunity for all of us, especially because we're in the tip of the way right now, is the connections with the AI community. And I think that's been amazing for me because I'm connecting with you and with amazing professionals and people and artists. And I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be connected with anyone without this new AI approach, without being present in the AI community. And I think probably this is just because we're in the beginning of the process. We're all learning together and we're working as a community, and I think that's beautiful. Yeah, and I know you probably have a lot of other opportunities that you can add to the list, and I know many will come in the long run. So let's see how it goes. So yeah.
Yeah, did anybody want to talk about opportunities that they're thinking about or foresee in the future?
I think this is a quite good point, Jon, to thank you for bringing this community to life on LinkedIn and really to make the list and to connect us, because this is such a huge possibility to learn from each other, to be connected, to talk about tools and different settings and new things that are arising and updates and so on and so on. So I think we should keep this on like it is and look that the community will grow. And yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, you bet. I'll just I'll just share a little bit about that before we Alexandra, you are next, and I've got your art ready to go, but it's been pretty amazing. I've been in a lot of communities. I've had a ton of jobs at different companies and been involved in many organizations like nonprofits, and I've never had the experience of this. Midjourney calls it open by default, and it's the idea that like everything is open to not necessarily the public with Midjourney, but it's about sharing and learning from each other. And I think some of that sunk into the subconscious of maybe all of us, or some of us, just to try and share, and like that is the default. So if you don't want to share and you don't want to contribute, then you're kind of like on the outside, instead of most situations in the corporate world, perhaps, and maybe in school, like you don't want somebody to cheat off of you, when you're doing a test or something. And this is like, most people just share everything. I don't share everything, but I'm willing to. So someone says, what was your prompt? I'm happy to give it to them. I try not to overshare, because I realize that I'm hitting different communities and not everybody wants that level of detail. I also like when somebody asks a question and it leads to a conversation. And if you put it all out there, then maybe you're missing out on a possible like question or conversation or a new relationship. So yeah, it's been amazing. So many people came together and are still joining. And I think that's the important thing to remember is people are still like opting in or onboarding to this tool or to this space, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. There are communities in all of those. And there's not a ton of crossover that I've seen. I know a few people from Facebook that are also on LinkedIn, and maybe there's more, but we haven't crossed paths. So, you know, you really have to like stake your claim to a space and then, you know, build relationships and learn and add to the community. And that's, I think, why there's been like this astronomical or meteoric growth. Like it just doubles and doubles, and there's so many new faces all the time. So anyways, enough about that. So Alexandra, would you like to Streckova, you want to do your topic?
Yeah. Okay, so my topic is how we think the future. And I thought about this topic and made a mixture based on my background, also about the business point of view and maybe really possible future and possible development of the AI art and the whole community. And yeah, the fact is we live now in technology-dominated world, and we need to think in scope of design thinking. Very UX-oriented. We know these methods are already all here, and we need to use them more in all areas, especially digitally. And as we have two interconnected worlds, so the real world with many conflicts and changes on the global and global economic and political scene now, and we have a digital world that is rooted in the first one. So I think the energy and the resources will stay a big issue also for the AICC community in the next months, maybe years to come. Now it's like that we run all together, hunting for new tools, inspiring each other, learning from each other. But we have to think also about maybe the negative sides or things that will come up as maybe with an issue like increasing commercial possibilities for AI art. We will also naturally change on some point, maybe from community also to a kind of competition. And I think the line between inspiration and rough stealing of ideas and concepts will also need to be defined and protected. And not only like we have this discussion already now between real artists and AI art, but also between AI artists and AI artists. Because it is going very fast. You can take the pictures, use the idea, use that concept. And especially in my area where I try to find a path as an independent artist, are all these issues regarding the branding, my style, my ideas, my concepts, quite an interesting and important topic. And also these ideas regarding a kind of protection of my creative space is becoming more and more important, because as you mentioned just right before that, sharing prompts and so on, I'm more often asked for my workflows and really detailed and my own working procedures and style. And I have really to think about it. Okay, what will I do now? Shall I share it or no? Is it how to work with these new situations? So I think that this will become a topic earlier or later for many of us. And yeah, regarding the outlooks for the market, it is very hard at the moment because all the development is going very fast. New tools are arising daily or weekly. And we have to learn very quickly. And when you look at big companies like Meta is struggling with a lot of critics, mainly regarding visuals and UX solutions, and is regrouping now. In Asia, we see they are coming with new ideas very fast, mainly regarding augmented reality. So everything is going fast, but still very uncertain. And I think we, AICC community, are on the front and will be for sure the one who will make the XR world more visually appealing and more visually attractive. So I think we need to learn really fast and increase our technological skills, show what we can. But we need to define also, I think, some kind of framework or moral values for the digital art too, and dealing with each other and with our art, and a kind of protect some brand boundaries, ideas, concepts, things like this. This is still lacking at the moment. But I see that this issue is starting to emerge also already on LinkedIn. And so I think the specializations and building of special niches for the AI artists will be also the very next step for AICC community. Maybe some will do architecture, then other fashion, and so on and so on. I think it will sort in the next coming months or years on a natural way. Each of us has to find the right place. And as women are a fixed part of this community, and also the most frequently shown motive in AI art, we need to have a really strong stand. We need a healthy combination of individual independence and community, but with smart moral values that can design for all of us a profitable future for AI art in the long term and in a really large scope. And Jon, maybe to these two pictures that I made for this, especially for this topic, please, when you can show them, I would like to explain them, because the idea is interconnected with that what I said. So this one, the first one, the lady on the hill, this is yes, this one. This one shows a lady on the technological hill that is arising, and I wanted to show that also women have the power, have the possibility, the will, and all that we need to climb up the hill. And show, okay, we are also here. And the second picture is showing maybe a kind of this background work or the female hero sitting in the computer and working and generating AI art. So yeah, these are my ideas to this topic. So we are also fighting on the front and doing our best and showing what we can, contributing. And as we are part of this world, we are definitely a part of AI art and also of the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And Reem and Alexandra, if you'd like to add anything, just unmute. I just wanted to add something that was really interesting over the past few weeks was the LinkedIn space went from a very exploratory creative space. It's still that, but you started to see more people kind of showing how they've figured out how to monetize their work. So whether it's like services or downloads or like we were doing workshops, and a lot of there's a lot of like overlap, but that's also happening in other spaces, especially Facebook, where people are doing a lot of tutorials, like how to get your AI art onto Adobe Stock, or how to create this or that. So it's the very beginning of that, but it's just been interesting to see all of those new business ideas pop up. And I think on LinkedIn, it makes sense because you just got that mindset of, we're here for business. A lot of innovative people that want to have a startup, they come across something that's so much fun. And then, for me, I just want to do it all the time. And part of doing it all the time is doing workshops or helping people learn. It doesn't always have to be punching prompts. That would, that's not really enough, but, creating community or interacting or, being on a Zoom call and learning from others, great opportunities. So yeah, it's fun, and it's creating all these magic moments. I call them that because you get, like Matt contacting me out of the blue. It's like, without AI art, we wouldn't be having that kind of fun. So it's awesome. And, Matt, feel free to jump in if you have any questions you'd like to pose or any comments, please do.
So just the artwork that was just created earlier by Alexandra. What AI tool did you use?
I started with Midjourney.
Yeah.
Then I explored some another one for AI visuals. I work also with Deep Dream. That is not so common as Midjourney, but it is also very interesting. Also for afterwork of some Midjourney works. It's quite interesting, and some weeks ago I started with Stable Diffusion. Now I'm going deeper to Deforum. I do music, AI music with Mubert, and I do my own short movies with music and AI animations, and I don't know where it will lead to. So I'm waiting for another AI tools. I do also fantastic character animation with another AI tool. And yeah, I'm excited to wait for more.
It's probably a question for you all, actually. Do you think there's a AI tool that suits your style of AI art? So if you talk about a traditional artist or traditional digital artist, some would favor Photoshop, some would favor Blender over 3D Max, or they would favor 3D Max over Blender. Do you find that there's a particular AI tool that suits the type of output that you want over? So just for argument's sake, Midjourney over DALL-E, for instance, does that come into play at all, or?
Yeah, Alexandra, Garcia, I didn't share your image. I can do that now, and if you'd like to answer that question. Let's see.
Okay. Well, what do you mean? Like, okay. Oh, okay.
So
like,
is there,
what do you mean, like in terms?
So is there a particular tool? So you've produced these 3 incredible images that are on screen right now. Is there a particular tool that gets your style, so what you're trying to produce from an AI art point of view, better than others tools do? So when you're doing a prompt in, say, Midjourney, does it get what you're trying to do better than, say, DALL-E is, or another AI tool? Does it get your style better?
Yeah, they are all totally different from my perspective. Like I'm very focused on typography. I do a lot of exploration, especially in Midjourney, and I try to do that also on DALL-E, and the outcome was totally different. It didn't have that magic because DALL-E, it's very literal. So it just, whatever it is, it doesn't have that. It doesn't read the prompt in between the words. I don't know how to put it, but it doesn't have that magic that Midjourney has. Like the style is just totally different. Like I will use DALL-E if I want something to be like very 3D with a texture like wood, and it's very precise. Like I'm almost doing something that I will create with any 3D software. but with Midjourney, I think it has a style that it will be a little bit harder to create with a 3D software. Like it will take a little bit more time or a different approach or something like that. So I think that each one, depending of what you want, you have to choose which one do you want to use, depending of the prompt, depending of the concept. So yeah, I think they're they're totally different in terms of what you are looking for and what is you're trying to express and visually.
And Alexandra, this is, are you seeing the image that you made?
Okay, yes, I see that. Okay, that was for the opportunity topic. Yes, I did that. And my idea was to represent how many opportunities you have and how many open doors and things that are building while we're talking, actually. So this was the idea with this image. So yeah, it's funny because I was trying to do something else and another different prompt. I was trying to looking for something that like a woman, like a superwoman, trying to do many things at the same time, but in a positive way, not as a challenge. But Midjourney came out with this weird speaking of woman and the way woman's supposed to be. So he didn't pay attention that she was working, that she was like doing some connections and stuff. Midjourney just pay attention to my words of war, housewife, cooking, and a superhero woman in the kitchen. So I think sometimes with talking about woman with Midjourney, it has a preference to feed the woman in a very not feminist way. to say it in a very polite way.
Thank you. Yeah, we're coming up on time. Does anybody want to add anything in the last couple of minutes? Kristen had to go help out our 2-year-old again. So
Okay.
I would actually like just to highlight about the opportunity subject that we were just discussing. I think with all the attacks, let's say, and the negativity that has been about AI or the fears about it because of the speed and the quality, etc., I really think let's say the whole community and even like the whole public should look at it as not a threatening tool, rather than a way to help the creative industry. Because I think as an architect and designer and an artist, we've struggled all of our life, spending days and nights to generate all of these beautiful images. And let's face it, that we have to agree that creative businesses, not all of them are bringing lots of money or profitable to people. Some people do less work, much less hours of working and studying, and get paid way more than that. So I think I think this is where I was thinking that AI is actually what is there, and it's here now to help us live better lives for ourselves and our families and our communities. Because if you're not happy as a person, you cannot create a beautiful art eventually. You cannot be miserable all the time, day and night, working and generating art for other people to look at it for a few seconds or minutes and like it or dislike it. So I really think this tool is made to help people, not to do more work. It's just about working smarter, not harder, because we deserve it to live better and be happier, and also spend our time just equally like other industries, I believe. I hope this will be the future. I don't know. What do you guys think?
It's funny that you mentioned that, but the AI documentary film that I worked on it 2 years ago, artificial immortality, if you want to see it. It talks about that AI is gonna help you in things that you don't want to do. Like, for instance, you're gonna have an avatar that will call to the bank, and he will do that while you're doing what you want to do, right? So it's giving you the freedom to do what we're supposed to do as a human, and he will take care of the things that we shouldn't supposed to do. So I think that's.
I saw some comics that even somebody was doing a comic about it, that they showed an AI that is refusing to do the work after a certain time because they felt it's actually also boring. So I really think this is what kills creativity eventually. It's the repetitive work, the boredom, the lack of a quality of living. All these affect us as creative people. So when we have such a tool, we shouldn't just attack it or be afraid of it. It's not only our industry. I think now the AI is involved in many industries like the environmental, the engineering, the mathematics, and all of that. And it's actually helping all of these. And it's not any difference from ours. Basically, AI is giving us shortcut of what we could spend doing days and nights to meet crazy deadlines and tight budget to actually have, let's say, more quality of living, a better quality of living. So that's what I was thinking on opportunities for the future, that it's not a replacement of creative, it's not a replacement of an artist, rather than giving people a better quality of living, let's say, if you know how to use it properly.
This is
I think
such a
those are.
wonderful, sorry,
I
such
think
a
I was gonna say
wonderful opinion. Thank you for that, what you said, really, because this is also my viewpoint. I'm just starting with AI art after 20 years of career in finance, where it is completely forbidden to be creative and show feelings and anything else. And AI art helped me to open up. I started to make music, I make visuals, I make movies. And for me, it is enabling me to put everything what is inside of me, what I see in my head, what is in my feelings, to put it outside with enormous speed and creative possibilities. And for me personally, I don't know where it will lead to. Maybe I will one day make completely own movies, or I will create own worlds for the VR, or I don't know what. So
that's
yes.
cool. We will be anticipating your movie then.
Yes, so as you said, really very nice opinion. I share it completely, 100%. Thank you.
Yeah, and I actually think they say everybody is creative when they were a child, or every child is a creator or an artist by themselves. But then as they grow up and they got overwhelmed with life, they lose this sense, or they lose these abilities. So I think the Midjourney maybe, or I keep relating to the Midjourney because it's the one that I use basically, as I find it very more flexible rather than the other tools. So it's basically, I feel that the AI is a tool. It's a tool for you to explore yourself and find the areas where you find your passion at. Is it the music? Is it the cooking? Is it some people love doing the characters, some other people enjoy science fiction, and some other people love the details. So I think it's also a tool to explore and find the creative kids that you once had and you lost it by time. Similar to your case, I believe. So now you're able to find all of these things, but without that tool, you would just have kept in the finance and forgot all of this creative child that you were at a certain time of your life. But at the same time, I do believe that the AI shouldn't be used by kids yet. It should be monitored.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
As it affect their imaginative power as well.
Why? Can you explain it a bit? This is interesting point.
Yeah, I think it's a big. I think it's one of the issues I've discussed in also the office hours at Midjourney about the using the kids using of Midjourney or the AI, because for us right now, we know how to imagine, we know how to put things together because we have a data, we have, let's say, a data in our brain about certain things. But if you're a kid, you still don't have this collective graphic memory, let's say. So you need to practice. You know, it's like if you want to learn a language, you have to know the alphabets before you make a sentence. So if you move I before you actually have the alphabets and the graphical, let's say, memory or brain or a collective memory, you will actually lose your imagination. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's a way of to balance things that you always have to practice imagining by your own. And this is why we were able to create it. But if we were kids and we were not able to use our brain and we were counting on an AI to generate that for us, it will affect us, because a brain is an organ. Eventually, the more you practice it, the more it becomes powerful, and also is the imagination. But if you have somebody to support you from let's say from a younger age, that will narrow down your abilities in a way. So that's why I think the balance and the control and the monitor, especially with the kids, it's important just to make sure that we keep things on the right track and we don't lose it. But that's just my opinion. That's just my observation. As I was working on Midjourney with my niece, and we were looking at images, and I noticed that the way she sees the images is completely different than mine. So definitely her perception and experience is different. And I feel that the kids are too fragile and they're too delicate, and their brain is still under development, not like us in a way. So that's why we have to be very careful about what they're exposed to, so they're able to learn how to imagine things and then go in a speed. You know, they say you have to learn to walk before you dance or run. So now we're running, but before we learned how to walk. So I think it's similar like that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna stop here. I just felt like sharing this with everyone. I'm so glad to be here and be able to share, and looking forward to hear more from you guys.
Yeah, there's some really inspirational, like, last words from everybody. I mean, what a great way to finish up on like a hard topic. Incredible.
Well, thank you everyone for joining. We appreciate your time, every single one of you. Some of the discussions I hadn't actually thought about myself, even this topic we just discussed around kids using AI art. It's an interesting topic, and you could debate it for a while. Yeah, there's definitely pros and cons, giving kids the power of AI to create. Yeah, no, it's been a fantastic discussion. Thank you, everyone. We'll call it closed there, but once more, thank you so much, and we'll talk soon. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.